And they came up with recommendations in a report that yesterday we reviewed the final draft. And so it has not been issued. It will be issued shortly. We're hoping this week. ColoradoWorkforce.org, no, .com. ColoradoWorkforce.com is our website. We're going to make sure it's up there, but we'll make sure the folks get the word out. What I'm about to talk about is a secret. So if all of you can keep a secret, it's not been released, but I did want to share with you some of the findings and some of the issues in this report that I think you'll find interesting. Number one, there is indeed a pay gap. And what was fascinating, we have this statistic that the commission found that in Colorado, women earn 79 cents on the dollar to the average Colorado male, similarly situated. 79 cents on the dollar. Every day you, as a community, walk in the door, your pay is being discounted. Okay, that's not good. So, but I'll tell you what really. I was going to say angered. Maybe that's a little too strong. But on behalf of my daughter, I guess I can be angered. Is that all right? Yes. Well, I'll tell you what really angered me was the work that the commission did in discovering, for me it was more of it was a discovery, that even in occupations primarily dominated by women, whether it's nursing, teaching, pick your occupation, there is a pay differential between men in those occupations and women. That is astounding to me, and completely unacceptable to me. And so what we did is after the commission found this out, and of course reaffirmed some things, and then found some things that some of us found interesting, new, and indeed troubling. Then they talked about what it is that leads to this pay gap, because obviously in order to get somewhere, you kind of got to know where you're at. And so the where you're at is what leads to some of these issues from their extensive research and study. And there are several interesting findings of what leads to this. Number one is job segregation. So the fact that women and young women who come into the workforce are, again, I don't want to say are purposely segregated necessarily, but there are segregations of duties and jobs of women and men. And so you end up with women in certain industries where by definition they're paid less. So the number one action plan for at least me is to be sure to push your young women to go into those careers where you have less of this issue. There's nothing to do with the commission other than let's all do that. Talk to my daughter, the youngest, who wants to be a physician, and make sure she continues to pursue that dream. Make sure kids are, and young women in schools are excited about math and science. Job segregation. Lack of previous work experience is a big factor that the group found led to pay inequity, caused by social expectations, time out from the workforce for all those important reasons that then becomes the next reason, which is what I call M&M, marriage and motherhood. The group found that marriage, women who are married actually are paid less than men who are married. Men who are married actually go up. Fascinating. We are in some way in our society, we have sort of inconsistent positions. On the one hand, the role of women in being mothers and being caretakers, in being the nurturers, not only of children, but of our elderly parents, disabled children and family members. The role of women is something that is very valuable, very cherished, and very important. But then at the same time, it seems that society doesn't respond in kind. Business communities don't seem to respond in kind on this side when they come back. So that's another factor, is this M&M factor that leads to this pay gap. And lastly, some evidence of discrimination, just pure discrimination. And everyone's impacted by this issue. Whether you are a business person, you will find that if you have an establishment that has better policies around leave, that your profits go up and you are actually higher on the scale than those businesses that don't. And as a public community, as a state, as a city, if you can get women higher pay at the lower end, fewer of them on welfare, and you save money for the taxpayers. So the recommendations, again, this is all secret. Okay? Keep this under your hat. A couple of the recommendations that the commission came up with that look doable, that we're studying about what we can do about this and whether we're able to do all this, is to, number one, make the Pay Equity Commission a more permanent organization so that it continues to monitor. You know, I'm an old auditor, so I think auditing is a good thing, and having somebody looking over your shoulder is important. Number two, encourage working with business communities so that you can educate your businesses on some of these practices that lead to that, what I'll call dichotomy, if you will, of how we think about things. And then lastly, the one I wanted to mention was good old-fashioned pats on the back. You know, recognizing in a more official and maybe a more prominent way the successes of businesses that really are showing how it is that this should be done, the cutting-edge businesses that have creative leave policies and those kind of things. They've done an amazing job, the commission did, for the state of Colorado, and for women and men in this state. I am excited about having them issue the report, present it to me so I can then determine what parts of it we're able to look at and put into play. Like I said, I hope nobody minds me being a little selfish, but it's about Melissa and it's about Emily, and all of you are Melissas and Emilys. Great to be home, and thank you very much for listening.